Hey everybody, the 5 fragrances that got me started in the game. I only have 3 of the bottles now, and I'll tell you what happened to the other 2. So the first one, my very first signature scent that I ever owned when I was 13 was Cool Water by Davidoff. And that was a gift actually on my birthday. My aunt and uncle were like, "You're a teenager now." And then they gifted me this small box. I opened it and I'm like, "Oh shit, a perfume, super sick." And it was like the small Cool Water. And yeah, I definitely used that. Maybe it took me like a year, a little bit over a year or something like that. And I loved that fragrance. An honorable mention is Beyonce Heat. I like that one in high school. It's a celebrity fragrance that lasts like 20 minutes. But I went through I went through a couple bottles of that one, but that's just an honorable mention. Now, the second one is the first fragrance I ever bought for myself as of like late last year, and that was Versace Eros. That's the other one I don't have with me, and I'll leave everything linked in the description if you're interested. But Versace Eros, I saw it online. People were like, it's a mint apple vanilla fragrance, and I was like, that is perfect. I love all 3 of those things, and people were saying it was really sexy, and I was just like, this is really nice. Like, let me see what this fragrance is about. And I blind bought it, and I mean, I liked it, but I wasn't like, like it wasn't a fragrance that I wanted to wear all the time. I was like, okay, yeah, I get it. It's nice, but not really for me, you know? So, but I still have a soft spot in my heart for Versace Eros. I smelled the shower gel and I used it recently and I like it. So now I'm sure if I have it back in my collection, I would use it more, but I gifted that to my cousin that's starting college. Now, my very first signature scent that I bought for myself, this is the one I think that really catapulted my interest, was La Nuit de l'Homme by YSL. I really have a special place in my heart with this fragrance that I don't care what people say, but it's overrated, it sucks in performance, it's this, it's that, it's not worth it. To me, this is a fragrance that is just like, this is where the journey started. Like, there were other fragrances along the way that I liked, but this was the one that I'm like, oh man, it took me to the next level, you know, in terms of just like smelling things and being like, that is something I want to wear every day. I want to smell like that. And the compliment factor was through the roof every single time I wore this fragrance. And I'm like, damn, people actually react like this when you wear a nice scent. Because I mean, I wore this for me. But when I would go out and I would just be around other people, they're like, oh, you smell so good. That's super sexy. God, like, you smell mouth-watering, that kind of stuff. And I'm like, oh, shit. People really like this. And it seems like they liked it as much as I did, you know? So this is my baby. This is my baby. I know people hate on it, but I really can't, because it's like my child. You know what I mean? It's not my child, no, but I love this one. Okay. Now the second one is, or technically the 4th one, but basically the top 3 in the lineup that I'm mentioning to you, is Dolce & Gabbana Light Blue Intense. This is a gift that I received last Christmas. And as you could see, I am almost done with this bottle, but this was my first like summer fragrance that, yes, I didn't buy it myself, but it was something that like I really, really wanted. Like with Cool Water, I didn't expect to get a perfume, nothing like that. But with Dolce & Gabbana Light Blue Intense, I've seen a couple things on this before. And then when I unwrapped my gift and I saw it in there, I freaked out. And it's funny though, because I'm sure like I have a video on my phone. Oh shit. Oh shit. Sorry. Damn, I gotta clean that up. But so this is what happened last Christmas, if I never told this story. I opened a box and I received light blue from my aunt, from my ninang. We call it our godmother's ninang in like with Filipino culture. And I was freaking out. I was like, oh shit. But you know, I wanted the intense version, but I opened this and I was super happy. I was like, oh my God, I have a summer fragrance that I can put in my rotation. And then after a couple of boxes, like I opened this and I'm like, oh, it's the intense. And I was freaking out even more. So this is the one I've been pulling for. As you can see, the juice for this, I mean, it's barely broken, you know, but this one is almost all the way down. So Light Blue Intense has been like my Southern California fragrance, at least when I was starting out. Like, this was an everyday type of wear because it was really hot over this past year. You know, it's only been getting cold as of like last week, but I was pulling for this nonstop. And also like similar reactions with La Nuit de l'Homme, where there was always compliments. It wasn't like sexual compliments like this one, but just very like, that smells so nice, you smell so good, I love that smell on you, things like that. And it made me feel good, but on top of that, I felt good regardless of compliments when I wore this fragrance. So Light Blue Intense, Dolce & Gabbana. I always recommend this if you're looking for a fresh and clean fragrance, your first fresh and clean scent. Try this one. It really does not disappoint. And lastly, to round us off, is By the Fireplace by Maison Margiela. I actually saw reviews of this fragrance. I think the person I saw was well, I saw it on like Sephora's thing, and I was like, okay, let me look this up. And I saw Big Beard Business talk about this fragrance, and he was like, oh, it's a 10 out of 10. It's really cozy, it's warm. And I was really interested in the note of like the burning wood and the fire, because I love bonfires. Like that is my favorite way to bond with people, just having like deep conversations and you're warm by the fire. You hear it crackling and the wood, like everything about it is just me, you know? So when I heard that there's a fragrance that smells like that and then also kind of smelled like s'mores later, I was sold. So I sprayed it in Sephora, and this was actually the first fragrance that I ever owned that took me on a journey from the opening until the dry down. Because most of the fragrances I mentioned, like, yes, Light Blue Intense dries down to a musk, but I find it to still be fresh. It's not a linear scent, but like it's like the opening doesn't smell too different from the ending. Same with La Nuit de l'Homme, it just stays sexy cardamom on me, right? But this is a fragrance that in the opening smelled totally different than it did in the dry down. And after like an hour and a half, when I sprayed this in Sephora, when I was at Sephora, I wanted to buy it right there on the spot, but they had no bottles. And I was like, damn, I was really mad about that. So when I got home, I took off that sweater and I was doing some stuff. And then I came into my room and I smelled something sweet. I'm like, oh, that smells really good. Where's that coming from? And then I look at my sweater, like sitting in the corner, and I grab it on the sleeve. Like I remember it. It's like on this part right here. And I remember the sweater too, which is crazy. But it smelled like s'mores. And I was like, oh my God, this is amazing. So immediately I went to my phone and I looked up the fragrance, and I got it on Nordstrom, and I was like, you know what? I'm going to do it. I'm going to buy it for myself. And it came around like the second week of January. Or maybe no. Maybe the first week of January, first or second week of January. And I wore it and I loved it. And ever since, every single time I pull for this fragrance, people really, really enjoy it. Okay. I really only wear this when it's cold outside and when I am outside for the most part. I don't really wear this when I'm like indoors. It's a cold night, and literally what the name of this fragrance says. Or if I'm just like going about my business, this is a scent that is very dear to me as well. But anyways, those are the 5 core fragrances, or the 5 fragrances that really helped start my journey. So La Nuit de l'Homme catapulted it. Dolce & Gabbana Light Blue Intense was like my solid fresh fragrance. This, and By the Fireplace, my solid sweet fragrance. You heard my very first perfume ever, and you know, the first one I ever bought for myself. So anyways, let me know what your first fragrance was, or anything, like if you're like, oh, my first signature scent was this, but my first perfume was actually this. I'd like to know. Have a great one, and I'll see you in the next video. Love you all. Bye.